Peyton Manning and the Denver Broncos travel to Indianapolis to face Andrew Luck and the Colts on Sunday Night Football. This is one of Week 7's better games. Really looking forward to this one. Denver installed as a 6-point favorite on BETDAQ, 56.5 the total in this game. We do expect to see a lot of offense here. Now, this is Manning's first time to Indianapolis as a member of the opposing team. Of course, he started for so many years as quarterback of the Colts. Colts owner Jim Irsay ruffled some feathers earlier this week when he gave an interview suggesting that maybe he wasn't fully satisfied with Manning's tenure in Indianapolis because the Colts were only able to win one Super Bowl. He mentioned that AFC rivals New England and Pittsburgh were able to win more Super Bowls during that time. I'm sure those words got back to Manning, and even though he didn't publicly comment on it, I'm sure he wasn't too happy about it. Just more fuel for the fire for Peyton Manning in this game. Now, I'm not sure if that's going to make him play better or worse. I tend to think that motivation is a little overrated when it comes to pro athletes. But you don't want to poke the bear if you're Jim Irsay, especially when the bear is averaging 44.2 points per game this year. You heard that right. Averaging 44.2 points per game. That is a full 14 points per game more than any other team in the NFL. Denver has scored more points this season than any team in league history through 6 games of a season. So this is an absolute machine. They average 476 yards per game. No defense has even been able to slow down this offense. And I don't think Indianapolis has much of a chance on Sunday night. Even though the Colts have been playing well on the defensive side of the ball, that's really the untold story in Indianapolis, is the job that Chuck Pagano has done with that defense. When you think of the Colts, you think of Andrew Luck and the offense, but the Indianapolis defense, 4th in the league in points allowed, has actually outperformed the offense this season. But still, if they're able to limit the Denver Broncos to 35 to 38 points in this game, I think that is a success. After all, if they held Denver to 35, that is 9 points below the Broncos' season average. So if the Colts are going to win this game, it's going to be with their offense. They're going to have to outscore the Broncos, win it in a shootout-type game like the Dallas Cowboys were almost able to do a couple of weeks ago when they ended up losing 51-48. And the Colts do have the type of pieces to maybe put some things together similar to what the Dallas Cowboys did against this defense. Andrew Luck, obviously an elite young quarterback. Trent Richardson now on this team, but Donald Brown has actually been running better than Richardson for the last couple of weeks. Be interesting to see who gets more carries in this game on Sunday. Richardson has been the number 1 back for the last couple of weeks, but at some point you got to start giving the ball to the guy who's averaging more yards per carry, wouldn't you think? Indianapolis also with some good young wide receivers and one good old wide receiver in Reggie Wayne who's still getting the job done. And the Denver Broncos, 32nd, dead last in the NFL in pass defense. Now, I think some of that has to do with the fact that Denver has such a big lead in every game that opponents do nothing but pass in the second half. But you know, if you've seen the Broncos play this season, they are not good on the defensive side of the ball. Now, they are getting their best defensive player back. Von Miller will be on the field for the first time this season. He has completed his 6-game suspension. And Champ Bailey, who's the best player in that secondary, he has been back from his injury for a couple of weeks now, starting to get his feet wet. Bailey's starting to get more and more comfortable. So I do expect this Denver defense to improve. I don't think they're going to be near as good as they were last season when they ranked top 5 in the NFL in yards allowed and points allowed. But I don't think they're the worst defense in the NFL either. So I do lean towards Denver in this game. I do think that Broncos are going to be able to put up at least 35 to 40 points, just like they do every week. Now, I'm just not sure the Colts are going to be able to match them touchdown for touchdown like the Dallas Cowboys were able to a couple of weeks ago. Now, I have a lot of respect for the Colts. They're hot and cold, but when they're on, they are on. We saw them go on the road and dominate the San Francisco 49ers earlier this year, beat San Francisco by 20 points at a time when many people were saying the 49ers were the best team in the NFL. So if the Colts were able to do the same thing to the Denver Broncos here, you might hear people talking about this Indianapolis team like they are one of the best teams in the league, having knocked off San Francisco and Seattle already, and with a shot to do the same to the Denver Broncos. But then you see the Colts sometimes, like last week, when they went on the road in San Diego, lost a puzzling game to the Chargers, failed to produce a touchdown on San Diego's porous defense. So I think Indianapolis is a good team, but don't fully trust them yet. I do trust Denver. I think they are what they are, a great offense, a historically great offense, and a bad defense. But hey, when you have an offense as good as they have, you can overcome a bad defense sometimes. I think they're going to do that on Sunday night in Indianapolis. I like Denver to cover the 6 against the Colts.